Alright, so I'm going to attempt to show how to open up and disassemble this HP Pavilion model 15-CS3153CL. So first what you want to do is get a PH1 or J1 screwdriver, and you want to remove the bottom rubber covers from the hinge area here. So there's the two rubber covers, and then there's three more screws there. So just remove the one screw under this one, the two screws under this rubber piece, and then the three screws under right here at the bottom. Okay, so this cover is actually pretty difficult to remove. I did another model that is very similar. This one I have to replace the screen. I already took out the bezel and everything. I tried putting it back, but I'm going to have to actually take the whole screen assembly out just to get it back in. So let me show you this. So first what you want to do after you remove the screws is get a thin pry tool, and you're going to want to get between the cover and then pry it up. So this is going to be pretty difficult because the clips are very strong, but basically just go along. Let me see here. I have to find one of the clips because once you get it started it becomes easier. This is a little bit tricky to do because normally I would do this in my lap so I have a better leverage and better viewing, but to try and show this, let me see if I can do it. So get the tool in. Let's find a gap here. Okay, there we go. All right, so kind of between the center of the two screws, that's probably your best starting point, and then you can start popping up the clips. Okay, then after that you can kind of slide the tool around and then pry it. So you only need to do this side where the three screws were and the sides. The back, once you get these parts out, will come out pretty easily. Okay, so let me see here. Wow, these clips are really strong. So you do need a strong like metal pry tool. Okay, so I actually already put the screen in, but as I said, this bezel won't sit down properly. So okay, so after you get that side, you want to go along the sides of it. Okay, same thing, kind of pull the cover open while you're running the pry tool along and prying it around. Okay, sorry I can't give like a close-up look of how to do this, but yeah, so just like this. Okay, just run the tool around. Sorry, my thumb's blocking it, but basically pull it up. And then also there's some clips towards the center, so just be careful with that. So once you get that, you just got to pull the cover open. There will be some clips in the center. You kind of have to just work it and kind of pull it, and it will pop out. It already popped out here, but I'll show you what I mean when I get this cover off. Okay, so I need to close this some more. So normally you'll do this while the screen is closed, but since I had the screen removed, I had to kind of do it while it was open. Okay, so let me show you underneath the cover here. There are these two clips right here that go where the battery is, and it clips underneath the battery. So that's why it's actually difficult to extra difficult to remove the middle part of it. Okay, so let me see if I can show this. I'm kind of scared to close the screen since I can't get the bezel completely in. I did do another HP Pavilion CS15 model, so if you want you can see that one. Basically I'm gonna have to remove the 4 screws from the battery here first before I do anything. So I tested the screen and it's working already. Oh, when you remove the battery, when you put it back in to turn the computer on, it's going to take a while to boot up, and then it's going to give a BIOS reset message, so that's normal. Just keep that in mind because they don't use a CMOS battery or BIOS battery. They just use this battery to basically store the BIOS or CMOS settings. Okay, so we're removing the 4 screws that hold the battery in place. Hopefully, oops, the other 4th one is in the middle here. Okay, so once you get the 4 screws out, you can just lift the battery from the bottom here, and then you can pull it back just like this. All right, and then set the battery aside. So I'm going to try and remove the screen first just so I can go through and show everything else normally without having it like diagonal like this. But anyways, after you remove the battery, you want to press and hold the power button for about 15 seconds. That will drain any power that's in the computer to make it less risky to work on it, okay? If you're just changing the hard drive or the RAM, then you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to actually even remove the battery. Just make sure your computer's off before messing with the RAM or the hard drive. Okay, so I held the power button down. So I'm going to remove the screen first. So what I like to do is I like to hang the screen off the edge of my desk and then have this on top of my work area. Okay, so after I held the power button, we're going to have to remove the connectors here. So we got the LCD connector here, or the LVDS connector. So you just pop this up. I don't know if I can, well, I can't really zoom in on it because it's hanging off my desk. But anyways, you just pop this latch up. Once you do that, you can pull this connector out. You have to kind of lift it up a little and wiggle it back, okay? Just like that. They did put an adhesive across the top here, so we do have to peel that up in order to remove that. Okay, just like this. And then it follows a little plastic area, so make sure when you remove it, you take that out. Okay, I don't think, did they put the antennas? Okay, so they do have the wireless antennas here, and they did put a little sticker on this one. So the one with the sticker on it is actually for this, there's a black arrow, and then the white arrow doesn't have, actually it's kind of weird. So the one with the black arrow, they put a, with the black arrow, they put a white sticker, and the one with the white arrow, they put a white sticker. So it's kind of strange. Just keep that in mind. I mean, with the white arrow, they put a black sticker. And to take the antennas out, just like every other video, you just pull from the tail, okay? Just like that, and it'll pop out. The same thing with this one. If you can't tell from this, because I can't really zoom in, you can watch my other videos on almost every other laptop. They do the same thing. But you pull from the tail, lift it up, and it pops out just like that. The other one I was working on had a wireless antenna, wireless issue. It kept going in and out, and it was because their wireless card, I actually have that wireless card here. So the antenna actually wasn't soldered properly, and it just ripped out, okay? So here you can see there's only one connector. There's supposed to be another one on this side. Okay, so we got the wireless antennas out. Just unroute it from these plastic pieces, and then we have to undo the screws here. Usually if you're undoing the hinge screws, I highly recommend getting some thread locker, the red type, to put them back. So there's 2 screws on this. They're on the outer, outside of this center one that's missing. Okay, so take out those 2 screws. And then same thing with the 2 screws here. Okay, once you got the cables unrouted and the 2 screws from each hinge removed, then you can lift the hinge, the whole screen assembly out, just like this. So I'll show this in a bit, but let me explain all the components inside, because you're probably here to upgrade your computer or repair it, not the screen. Okay, so what we got inside, I flip this back over. You got the keyboard connector here, just like the LCD connector. Let me zoom in, actually, since now I can do that. So just like the LCD connector or LVDS connector, you just pop this little latch up, and then you can pull the connector up and out. So I'm going to leave this in, but I'll show you just one of these connectors. So just like this. And then to put it back, usually you would use the blue tab to hold it, and then you can kind of put it back in place. You kind of have to put it slightly at an angle because it has the little raised plastic bits on the other that hold these little blue wings in place. Okay, so there we go. You got that back in. You got it past these little blue raised bit, or the slot, the raised parts. Okay, then you can just push that back down. All right, so all these other connectors are basically the same. You got the trackpad connector here. Let me zoom back out. Oops, didn't need to do that. There we go. Okay, so we got the trackpad connector here. It goes all the way down to the trackpad, of course. Let me zoom out some more. Okay, then you got the keyboard backlight connector. Then you got this connector here. I think that's for SD. Yeah, SD card slot. Sorry, I need to zoom out some more. Dang it, I keep activating my calculator. Okay, so you got this cable here that goes to the SD card slot. So if you damage that, you can replace the SD card slot. You got this for the USB ports, and I think this is the lock mechanism. Some people would use a lock to lock it to their desk or something. But these 2 USB ports, there's a cable here that goes here. I don't know why they have such a large board for just 2 USB ports. But yeah, then you got the charge port or the DC jack. The wire runs along here and it plugs in right here. To remove these connectors, you kind of just pinch the 2 wings and you kind of just keep wiggling it and pulling it back. Let me see if I don't know if I can show this. Let's try here. Okay, so let's zoom in some more. Okay, so you got the DC jack connector here. I basically use 2 of my fingernails and I kind of just wiggle this thing side to side like this, and you just keep wiggling it. Don't put too much force and keep going, and eventually it will pop out just like that. And that's how you remove the DC jack charging cable. So I'm going to push it back in, but if you want to replace it, you just take that out and unroute the cable, and that's how you get it out. So in here, let's see, zoom out some more. Okay, so we got an M.2 SSD PCIe, M.2 NVMe PCIe SSD. So to remove that, there's just 1 screw here. So the other one, it didn't have an SSD in here. It just had, it used this slot here to put a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive. So if you want, you can add a 2.5-inch SATA SSD. You just need the adapter to plug into this little port right here next to the SD card and the keyboard backlight. But anyways, after you remove the screw for the M.2 SSD, you can lift it up slightly at an angle and then just wiggle it to pull it out, okay? All right, so I'm gonna put this back in. So the wireless card basically comes out the same way. You just remove the 1 screw and then you can lift it slightly and pull it out. I'm not gonna take it out because you don't really need to see that because it's the same as the SSD, okay? So on this model, there's only 1 fan. If there's a dedicated graphics card, usually it'll be up here with more heatsink, like this metal stuff, covering it, and it'll use 2 fans. This one, since it doesn't have a dedicated GPU, they just put a single fan here. Okay, so you got the speaker connector here, and the speaker wire for this side goes all the way under to this speaker. So if you need to take the speakers out for some reason, you have to take the whole motherboard or logic board out. The CPU is soldered in place, so you can't upgrade it. The fan connector comes out just like the DC jack connector. Then you got the RAM here. They put 2 different sticks of RAM, but basically you pull these 2 tabs to the side, the RAM will pop up, then you can pull it out. So this RAM is 8 gigs PC4 2666V. I don't know if you can even see that, but that's what it is. Okay, let me see if this stick is the same or different. So this one is a 4 gig PC4 266V. So yeah, I don't know why. It's usually not a good idea to put uneven amounts like that. So they'd probably want another 8 gig to replace this 4 gig stick, but if they want maximum performance. But anyways, that's all there is inside this part of the computer. So now we're gonna go ahead and look at the screen. So the screen is actually kind of a pain to remove. They actually put an adhesive underneath this whole thing. So I already actually replaced the screen, but basically what you do, I'm gonna have to be careful because there's a brand new screen, I don't want to crack it, but they put some clips under the top here and clips at the bottom. And to remove that, you basically go towards the center, and pull up the inside part of the plastic while you kind of pull the rest of it down towards the center of the computer, and that will release the clips just like this. Okay, they do put strong adhesive, so if you are going to attempt this, keep in mind if your screen isn't broken, you're gonna most likely end up breaking your screen. So I didn't redo the adhesive in here yet, so I don't have to worry about that. But anyways, they put clips all along under here and under here. So to remove this, you kind of, same thing, lift it up, and then you can kind of pull it towards the center. I'm gonna have to be a little careful because, again, the new screen is already in there, but you kind of have to work this. You can remove this bezel without taking the whole screen assembly out, but putting this back in, I was trying and it was very difficult. For some reason, these clips wouldn't go back in, so I took the screen out. That way I have some room to kind of push these clips in place. Okay, so normally when you have the computer with it attached, there will be some adhesive in these little holes, like right here, right down here, and another one down here. And to get that out, you have to use like a needle or some tweezers. and you pull on it, and this adhesive is like a stretch release adhesive. So what you do is you grab the adhesive and you just pull it away towards you. Try and keep it as flat as possible. You don't want to just pull it straight up. You want to pull it this way, like straight away from yourself, from the screen. And that will slowly peel away this adhesive. And normally it will stick all over itself, and then it'll be a pain to reuse it. So if you want some new adhesive, you're most likely going to have to just use some regular double stick tape. Usually it's not a problem, because if your screen breaks, you're going to have to pry the screen out anyways and destroy it. So you don't really need to use the special stretch release adhesive. But anyways, once you remove those two stretch release adhesives, then you can pull the screen forward like this. I'm gonna have to be careful, but basically like every other screen, you peel this adhesive off, and then you can pull this latch out. So there's no clips or anything holding it in, just the adhesive, this capped on tape, as well as a clear tab. So you just have to pull the connector straight back. So it's difficult to do this while the screen is just free hanging like this, so I'm not gonna show that. I have other videos where I do screen replacements on laptops. So if you watch like HP laptop screen replacement for my other videos, you'll see how to remove those, okay? It's getting fingerprints all over the place. So let's see, I'm gonna try and reuse, I don't think their stick adhesive is sticky anymore. So I saved a portion of this adhesive that normally is underneath, and what happens is when it stretches like this, it releases the stickiness. I'm going to try and put back a portion of this on both sides. I'm going to just cut it in half and then use that. So we'll see if that sticks. All right, so I'll be back. I'm going to cut this piece and then I'll be back. I'm going to pause the recording for now. All right, so I cut the strip in half. So now we got these thinner semi-long strips. So this is mainly just to keep the screen in place. So let me see if I can show how to add this. Basically what you do is hold the screen up out of the way, and keep in mind you want the thing accessible even when the screen's down. So what you're going to do is put it into this slot here. Okay, so I'm going to take the adhesive. This is going to be a little tough. I have to kind of hold it up. Okay, so basically put the adhesive like this. It's going to be difficult to, how am I going to let it go? There we go, it's stuck to my finger. Okay, so just like that. So that way, if you need to release it later, you can. So again, with this side, okay, just like that. And then when you drop the screen, excuse me, make sure that the top of the screen is going into the metal corners here. If you just drop it down, it might be too low. So you want to make sure that it goes into the right spot, okay? Just like this. And just like that, okay? So now that we got the screen in place, just press it down slightly. Don't put too much pressure. You don't want to break the screen. But there you go. Now these two tabs are holding the screen in place, so it shouldn't fall out or move around. Okay, so here I'm turning the screen over and checking the screen is holding itself in place. All right, so now that we got that, we want to put the bezel back in place. We will have to reapply some adhesive here, so I'm gonna try and do that, and then let's see if it will hold better. Okay, so it already has some double stick adhesive. I don't know if I can even peel the old adhesive out. Let me try. Okay, I think it's coming out. So they also put like a semi-stretchy adhesive on here. So I'm just going to peel this side adhesive out. because the adhesive that's on the side doesn't have, the side plastic piece doesn't have clips. So I want to make sure to put an adhesive there to make sure it holds down properly. Okay. Usually if it has clips on all sides, you don't even have to worry about the adhesive. So this I'm doing just kind of as a precautionary. Okay, so sometimes the best way to get this adhesive is just to roll it down if it keeps tearing itself. Okay, but there we go. I'm probably going to also redo the adhesive down here. There's not that much of it remaining, but there's no clips on this side, so to keep it flush against the screen, you want to redo the adhesive there as well. Sorry, I'm doing this off camera. It's hard to do this while my arms are extended forward, but here we go. Just rolling off all this adhesive. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to move the screen aside for now, and then I'm going to add the adhesive to this bezel. The top I'm not really worried about. If you want, you can do that as well. Let's see here. But usually the top, nothing's gonna fall under the bezel, and then the clips are close enough to the thing that it's not that important. Helicopter. Okay. Let's peel this off. Okay, there we go. Now let's reapply some adhesive here. So I have like all different thicknesses of adhesive, but I think this one is probably too thick for anything. Let's set that aside. So you probably need to use this one. Okay, and we're just gonna grab the adhesive. Make sure we get the right amount. It doesn't need to be 100% all the way across, just as long as you get most of it. Okay, so let's get this adhesive. Oops. This. Okay, and just have it as close to the edge as you can. I don't know if my head's blocking the way. If it is, I'm sorry. Okay, just try and keep it close to the edge. Just like that. Okay, oh, there's some debris underneath there. I'm going to try and get that out. I don't know if I can get that piece of debris out of there. Might have to use some more tape. Yeah, that's might be an issue. So I'm gonna lift that. Might have to cut that section out. It's stuck down to the thing now, so it's gonna be, okay, there we go. I'll lift this up. Let me see if I can just use a razor blade and cut it off. Uh-oh, my phone overheated.